Hello everybody and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be doing a tier list for every single weapon in Apex Legends as of Season 7. Alright, let's get started. So first we have light ammo guns, and we're going to start off with the P2020. P2020, never been very good. It's just E tier. It's your average, not very good pistol. But with hammer point rounds, it can actually be a very, very powerful weapon in close range. It is actually very good with hammer point rounds. It actually has a very, very high DPS with hammer point rounds as long as your opponent doesn't have any shields. It would be much higher up with hammer point rounds if the hammer point rounds didn't only affect unshielded targets. So that's the thing about using a hammer point weapon. You actually have to get their shields down for the hammer point rounds to actually be useful and take effect. So those two are going to be C tier and E tier. Next we have the RE45, which has always been, I think, a pretty good gun. Since it's a pistol, you get a faster strafe speed. It has a DPS close to that of an alternator. And it has a pretty fast reload time. So it's pretty much the alternator, but you can strafe a bit faster with it. So, and the hop up, the quick fire hop up, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really change it that much. So these both are going to be in C tier, just because it, as a pistol, it is actually pretty good. Has a meh DPS, but it also has a fast strafe speed because it's a pistol, a fast strafe speed while aiming down sights, and the fast reload. So yeah, next we have the G7 Scout, which is easily S tier. I don't really like double tap trigger. I feel like it makes me less accurate. The second shot, I feel like, is pretty hard to hit because the recoil from this first shot is still in place. But it is an extremely good gun. It is accurate. It doesn't have access to the big sniper scopes like the 6 times and the 8 times scope. But it is still extremely good just because it is accurate and it deals a lot of damage. Next we have the R301. R301 is your basic bread and butter assault rifle with good damage, good accuracy, just your basic bread and butter assault rifle. It is an A tier. If every gun was like the R301, we would have peace on Earth. Okay, next we have the alternator, which is, in my opinion, just a worse RE45 because it has a slightly longer reload speed, or the same reload speed, I'm not sure, but it also has that slower strafe speed when aiming down sights. It does have a little bit better ammo conservation, but it's still just, I don't feel like it is very good at all. Next we have the R99, which has returned back to a normal ground loot weapon. It is not the care package anymore. And it has always been S tier. I think even above the G7. It is accurate, has high damage, has, not very high recoil. Well, it actually has kind of high recoil, but the recoil is very easy to control. It's not like the Havoc Rifle. Havoc Rifle's recoil is like to the side and then zigzags across, back downwards. It's very easy to control recoil, which is why it is in S tier. Next we have the Flatline. Flatline, if the R301 is your basic bread and butter assault rifle, then the Flatline is a heavy AR. It has a slightly more recoil, but it has more damage, and actually has slightly better ammo conservation, and since it uses heavy ammo, it slows down your opponent. Its recoil actually got much better. They reduced the side-to-side recoil, and ever since then, it has been so much easier to control, and so much easier to actually hit your shots. Not as easy as the R301, just because the R301 is a little bit more accurate, but the Flatline still has slightly higher damage and better ammo conservation, so A tier. Next we have the Hemlock. This is a tough one. Hemlock in single fire is very good. Burst fire, it's okay, but it's very hard to hit the burst shots. You probably only hit the first shot. You might hit the second shot, but you're definitely not going to hit the third burst shot just because it adds extra recoil and decreases the accuracy after each bullet is fired. People are really talking about how overpowered it is. I think it's B+. I'll put it in A, just because its single fire mode is very, very good. Very, very useful. But I think it's A-, or B+. Next we have the Spitfire. Not the best. It has a little higher DPS than the alternator, I think. The only thing it really has going for is that it has very good ammo conservation. You can shoot this thing for like 30 straight seconds. Not that long, but you can shoot this for a very long time and it won't run out of ammo, which is very good for people like noobs, who just kind of want to sit there and spray all day. So it's going to be in D tier, just because, like, besides that, really has nothing going for it. Low DPS, longer reload. I'm going to put it above the alternator, like D+, but I don't think it's C tier. No, we'll put it in C tier. No, we'll put it in C tier, just because it could still be used as a pretty good weapon. I'd rather have a Spitfire than, I mean, yeah, I'll put it right above the... That seems about right. Okay, next we have the Wingman. This should be easy. Wingman has always been super, super powerful. Base, I mean, I think base Wingman is definitely not better. I mean, like, again, the quick fire hop up, not very good. It makes it a bit better for hip firing, but I would rather have an R99, I think, than a Wingman without a Skull Piercer. Skull Piercer has just cemented its throne, and you can two-shot somebody. Somebody with a purple body shield, you can two-shot somebody if you headshot them, which is extremely good. It's always been super accurate. If you actually have good enough aim, you can even use it as at a little bit longer range. You can't use it like a sniper or like an AR, but you can even use this at longer ranges than most other pistols. It is so good. Nothing compares to a master with a Wingman. A professional Wingman player is nothing. I mean, a professional Wingman player will beat any other person with any other gun, just because the sheer power of the Wingman, its accuracy, its power, its headshot potential, its hip fire potential. It does not use a lot of ammo. Havoc Rifle, I feel like, is in B tier. With a turbocharger, A tier, I think. Just because turbocharger does make a huge difference. It could be an S tier if the recoil was not crazy. Of course, Select Fire is slightly better than the base model, but... Voice crack. Select Fire is slightly better than the base model, but it's still nothing compared to, like, a Wingman. Or even like a Flatline or a Hemlock, so... Next we have the Volt. I think Volt deserves to be... I think it deserves to be A-. I think it deserves to be A-. Now that the R99 is back, you don't really have a reason to pick this over the R99, except maybe that it's a little bit more accurate, but, not really a reason to pick it. Okay, Devotion without turbocharger. The Devotion without the turbocharger is not very good. It is B-. I'm thinking of even putting it in C. With the turbocharger hop-up, it is definitely A tier. It is definitely A tier. Okay, next we have L-Star. L-Star is got a buff. It is much, much better than what it was before, but I still think it deserves to be in D tier, just because it's an LMG that doesn't have a lot of damage, has a crazy amount of recoil, not as much as it did before, but still a crazy amount of recoil, and once again, there's nothing compared to a Wingman. Like, even if you're bad with the Wingman, you can still probably beat somebody with, like, a Havoc Rifle, or a Spitfire. It's just so good. Okay, next we have the shotguns. I think that Evade also can be in B tier with double tap. B+. It just doesn't have the DPS to consistently, compete against things like the Volt or the R99 or the Wingman, or even the R301 or the Flatline. Mastiff, B tier. You know, it is extremely reliant on being close up. It is like if you're, you know, you can be like what 10 meters away from them, and you'll still do like 13 damage. You need to be extremely accurate. It is not very good unless you're like right up in front of your enemy. Next we have the Mozambique, which actually has like the longest range of any shotgun, but is still D tier, E tier. With hammer points, I think it's D tier, just because it actually makes it a decently compatible shotgun with hammer point rounds. But once again, only if they're unshielded. If they have shields, you're dead. The hammer point rounds don't work on shielded targets. Next we have the longbow. Basically a G7 Scout, except more damage and it fires slower. I think it's pretty good. I think it deserves to be in B tier, maybe above the Mastiff. I would still rather take a G7. Longbow with Skull Piercer, I think it can go above the normal Havoc Rifle. No, above the Devotion. Above the Devotion without the turbocharger. Next we have the Sentinel, which I actually think is pretty good. As long as you have extra meds, the Sentinel is a beast of a sniper. I think that as long as you have extra meds, I think it is above our good friend the Longbow. Next we have the Triple Take. Triple Take is very good. Now, we'll leave it there. The Triple Take is very good. It is very accurate, or you can turn off the Precision Choke and make it hit like 3 people at once, which I've done before. Just very good. Charge Rifle would be an A tier if it did not use up so much ammo and had such a long reload time. Peacekeeper, S tier. Not above the Wingman, but S tier. Prowler, A tier. It's not much better than the R99. It has lower DPS. It slows people down at least. I think it could go above that, but maybe A+. No. Okay, Caber, obviously, S tier. One shot with the Caber means instant death for your opponent. That's easy. Well, not instant death, but if you get a headshot, it means instant death. If you get a body shot, it means 155 damage, I want to say. Yeah, anyways, that is our tier list. I don't think I need to change anything. Wingman is still I mean, if you're not good with the Wingman, practice. Practice, practice, practice. Getting good with the Wingman is so worth it. You will be a beast. You will lose to, like, 5% of the players, who are maybe like 10% of other players. You are going to be an actual monster. Just learn how to use it. Just learn how to use it. Okay, yeah, I think that's a good list. Wingman, always been the best gun, if you're good with it. Yeah, okay, that is the tier list.